What if you could take your buyer from hopeless to in a home that is $700 a month less than what they thought they were going to have to pay? One of our agents had her son work with Neo Home Loans to make this happen. He's a veteran and he wasn't sure how he was going to be able to afford a home because he just walked into the bank down the street and thought that that's how you buy a house. But our agent got her son in touch with Scott, and now they're living happily ever after. So it's a good story, and I hope you stay with us to hear it. Janelle, I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on with Scott and Ed and I. Janelle, you've been with Premier Plus Realty for quite a while, and we wanted to dive into the story of how you started working specifically with Scott and Neo Home Loans. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, first I did content day with them at our office, and they made it so easy because I'm super scared of the camera, and they just were great. And plus, like, they just had all of the right things for us to say and make us look good. And then I just felt comfortable with them. And my son was getting ready to buy a home in Georgia, and he's a veteran and also a police officer. And, that's really stressful for a young person. He's only, 27. And we were at an event. And so I approached Scott and said, hey, I have some questions, because I don't really know how the VA loans work. Are you familiar with that? And he had like just a ton of knowledge. And then we just started talking about it. And he was giving me some scenarios and things to help them, like with their interest rate and all this, all these things. And he said, and I promise you, I'll treat him like he's my own son. So of course that meant the world to me. So, and that is exactly what he did. And so it really was helpful, and they got their house in January, and they were able to save a lot of money.
Well, actually, Janelle, the thing that I remember most about that was when we were talking at that function that we were at, how frustrated you were with your son that he's not getting off the fence. He's already pre-approved. I can't get him to actually go shopping. And when I got on the phone with him, his answer was, look, they pre-approved me for 350 grand at 8%, and I don't care what they say, I can't afford that payment. And what I hear when somebody says that to me, and unfortunately I hear that a lot, is that nobody took the time to really talk to him and help understand his position. And when we were done, we ended up at a $300,000 price point, which is more than enough for him, using a buy down strategy. We were able to put together a payment that was like $700 a month cheaper than what he thought he was looking at, and he was under contract in a day. That deal died at inspection. He was back on the contract, I think, 3 days after that. So it's just so powerful to see how when you actually take the time to hear and listen, and then come up with some solutions to the concerns, how quickly we could get people off that fence and under contract and on a path towards, being in a much better financial situation in life.
Well, what I appreciated was that you worked with the realtor, because obviously I wasn't there in Georgia and I'm not a Georgia realtor, to, set the offer up so that they knew to ask for the money to buy down the rate. And that was something that no one had really talked to them about.
Yeah, it's, I find that a lot of people just do business the way they've done business. And I think we're in a market now, particularly when dealing with first-time homebuyers, particularly when dealing with veterans, where we gotta step out of the daily, this is how it's done. And again, how do we find some solutions to the challenges and stresses that people are facing? Because affordability is super tough for a 27-year-old guy. Like, it just is.
Right.
Um, and just a matter of thinking outside the box. And that's why, I remember saying to you, like, hey, Janelle, remember when I told you, like, I could really help you with lead conversion? Like, this is like, you're able to literally witness it with your son. And I think
Right.
that was a really cool example. And your son was so happy at closing. It was so cool.
Yeah, no, they love their home, and they're just like on the right path, and it's great that they're not strapped. That was my concern as a mom. I wanted them
Sure.
to have an affordable payment and get the best case scenario, and you helped them get that.
But
I
That's
appreciate
I
it.
awesome.
think the punchline there too is, if you do nothing wrong, right? Like if you go, you get pre-approved for a mortgage, we send you the letter of pre-approval without doing that pre-purchase consultation that we do up front, and we just send it. The loan officer at that point hasn't done anything wrong, right? Like they got the pre-approval on time, they got the documents, they got the guy approved, and they give them the letter and they give the realtor the letter. Like you said, it's not that that's not good enough. It's just that that's just, or I guess it's not that that's not good. It's just it's not good enough in this market,
Right.
because it's not a matter of just getting approved. Somebody can get approved for $500,000, $1 million a month for that, or $1 million for that matter. But that doesn't mean that they are willing to pay the price or that payment that requires. So having the conversation with them and then really creating a strategy to get them to where their comfort zone is
Right.
ultimately what's going to get somebody to make a decision to buy a house. And I think this is a great example because it not only shows that, okay, well, this was the perfect house and he wanted to make it happen. No, this is a guy that was already approved. We got him to the place where the payment was comfortable. He got under contract. That house didn't work out and he went, okay, it doesn't matter, I need to get under contract again. From going to that mindset from there's no way I can afford this payment, I think it's what matters. And at the end of the day, I mean, this is extra special because it's your son, Janelle. Like if it really wasn't something that was better for him, you wouldn't pursue it, obviously. So it's really for the benefit of the client at the end of the day.
Right. And I feel like that for all my clients. And I do feel like, we all have our strengths, right? Jillian knows how to run our company. You guys know how everything there is about mortgages and stuff. I try to know everything there is about real estate, but like it's amazing to me how many people really don't know how the buying process works when you're getting a mortgage. And so for you guys to go above and beyond to explain and walk through every single detail. And even Heather was so helpful. And even explaining things to me, like that is so important because we can quickly think that everybody knows what they're doing. I mean, I thought my 16-year-old daughter knew how to drive when she got her license, and I let her drive, and we literally almost flipped the minivan. So it's like you assume things, but people don't understand. So they need people like you to walk them through things and get them to the best case scenario.
I was just going to say what I love about this story is that your son went from hopeless to hope, and now he's in a home that he loves and a payment he can afford. And all it took was a little extra care and a little extra education and someone that would take the time to explain things to him. And boom, you're in a home, $700 per month lower than what you thought you were originally going to have to pay, and all because you had knowledgeable people to take the time and really dissect the situation and provide opportunity. So it's just incredible.
Yeah, and like from your son's standpoint, your son did everything right. He went to the local bank, he got
Mhm.
pre-approved, he did that before he picked out a house. Like on paper, he did everything right. But like Ed said, the bank did a good job. It just isn't good enough in this market because, look, we need to sit down with people and really understand the situation. The mortgage industry doesn't ask a lot of important financial questions, right? We ask the financial questions that are on the loan application. We're not talking about car insurance, health insurance, in my case, college expenses, like whatever the bills are.
Well, why don't we transition into talking, Janelle, what you were going to say about Neo's services and how their tools and their marketing and all of that help your business. What did you want to touch on in that?
So, like I said, I did the content day, and then I also partnered with them, and I don't know what you guys call what I do, but they helped me make videos,
I call it winning.
for marketing. And one thing it did for me is it gave me more confidence. But what's impressive is that they do their research to give me the content to speak to clients and potential clients through social media. And I would have never done that without them. And so to me, that's like going above and beyond being a mortgage person or mortgage broker or whatever. It's like they do so many things. So to me, I feel like it's just a whole package, and they're really there to support us and me specifically. So I really appreciate that. And I recommend them to all of my clients. I don't have a ton of clients that do mortgages, but whoever I do, I recommend them because one, I know they care. One, I know they're honest. And then also, they just know what they're doing. And then with the marketing stuff, that has helped me grow as an agent. And so I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, even when you have a new listing, they have a program.
I use those list report packets all the time. Mm-hmm. And I get all the marketing stuff. It's so easy to just shoot out onto social media or emails, everything like that. I use it all the time. It's perfect.
It's amazing. So the magic question is, do you believe that working with Neo Home Loans has improved your business in a tangible way?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't just say that because I don't tell stories.
Right. I don't tell stories.
I don't tell stories.
Not today.
Nope.
That's awesome.
No, I really do. I really do think they're amazing. And I wouldn't say that if I didn't.
Oh. Well, we don't like to tell Ed that too often because
I know he gets a little,
yeah.
But it's funny though, Jillian. Like it speaks to like one of the principles that Neo is built in, which is loan officers walking around calling themselves partners to real estate agents, and all they really do, like when you ask them, well, what makes you a good partner? They say, I answer my phone on time. When I tell you somebody's qualified, they are. And if they say I could close the deal by a certain timeline, I do. And that's like literally your basic job description, right? Mm-hmm. Like being a partner should be helping with lead conversion, coming up with marketing. Like literally, it should be a case where when you look at your 1099 at the end of the year, the number's bigger because of working with us. And that's the only way, in my opinion, to say that you're a true partner is if you could achieve that goal. Outside of that, you're simply competent. And that's fine, but it's not a partner. And there's too many people in this industry, in the banking industry, like the big banks especially, they're just on autopilot with the whole thing, where somebody comes in, they spit out numbers, the computer says this is the figure, this is the rate, this is the payment, and they go, congratulations, not taking into account of whether or not that is the right advice or do those numbers scare the bejesus out of the clients. We always go over those numbers during a hour-long pre-purchase consultation and we really push to have those on Zoom because I want to look in the person's eyes and see when a number comes out, do their eyes bulge out of their head, like, and they're scared with it. And then we could talk through that.
Yeah. No, it's great. You guys are great.
You guys are great.
You guys are great.
That's
awesome. A++.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Janelle. I really appreciate you taking the time. I mean, you're busy, you're off showing homes and working with customers, and you took the time to come on video. And I think it is a true testament to your appreciation of all that Scott and Ed and Neo Home Loans have done for your business, and particularly for the deal with your son. So I appreciate you, and thanks for coming on and talking to us today.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Have a great day.
You too. Good seeing you, Janelle.
All right. Bye.
Before you schedule your next listing appointment, you need to stop what you're doing and you need to call Scott DiGregorio or Edgardo Balentine, because there are ways that you can get the days on market to be less as we're heading into a cooler summer season in Southwest Florida. There are ways that you can make your listing more attractive without doing a price reduction. So there are tips and tools and strategies that we're going to talk about today on this podcast that you really can't afford to miss. I talk to a lot of you here at Premier Plus Realty, and I know that if you just had a conversation or listened to this podcast, you're going to walk away with a nugget that is going to increase your business exponentially throughout the rest of this year. So we've got Scott DeGregorio and Edgardo Balentine with Neo Home Loans. Of course, they're our preferred lender here at Premier Plus Realty, and I can't wait for you to hear all that they have to offer your business and your customers. Stay tuned. When you think about a lender partner, what you usually think about are your financed buyers. And the truth of the matter is that Neo Home Loans and Scott and Ed, they can help you with your sellers and getting more listings. And once you do have a listing, how are you going to market that? And how are you going to speak to the seller about making sure that you're giving the buyer the best chance at putting a sales contract together? So Scott, would you mind giving us a little background into what it is that you can do for sellers and for their listings?
Yeah, absolutely, Jillian. It's like you said, like nobody thinks of like, hey, I just got a listing appointment. Let me get my lender involved. Like that breaks people's brains. But the truth is that the overarching challenge that all of us are trying to overcome with buyers and sellers is around interest rates, right? There are a lot of sellers right now that feel trapped in their home. They feel trapped in their 3% rates. They're looking at numbers saying, okay, if I upgrade and buy a bigger house at the higher rate, my payment's going to go up $1,000 or $2,000 a month, and either I can't afford it or I don't want to afford it. The meetings stop there in so many cases. And there's actually there's quite a few strategies we utilize with this, but one of them that is very common is this. I call it a debt consolidation move up buyer. So, while people are, sitting on top of a, 2 or 3% mortgage, on the other side of it, consumer debt is at an all-time high in this country. Home equity line of credit debt is at an all-time high. Credit card debt is well over $1 trillion now. So one of the things we do is we're talking to sellers. Like we have agents zooming us in during listing appointments where we're talking to sellers. Like, look, if you have 400 grand in equity, instead of taking the whole 400 grand and putting it down on the house, you have $100,000 in debt. Let's take 100,000 out of the 4, pay off your debt, put the other 3 towards the house. The last time I did that, the person thought that their payments were going to go up $2,700 a month. And by doing the debt consolidation, their payments went up under $400 a month. So that debt consolidation strategy is big. And look, it's uncomfortable for an agent at a listing appointment to ask somebody, what kind of debt are you carrying? But in our world, this is just a Tuesday, right? Like this is just a day. So that's a really, really critical strategy. Another strategy is being able to leverage any assumable mortgage. If the seller has an FHA or VA mortgage, that puppy's assumable. We actually have a home equity line of credit for purchase to bridge the gap between the assumable loan balance and up to 90 or 95% of the purchase price. And that's another strategy that is really, really effective. And then, of course, using a buy down to expand the size of the pool of buyers, where we tell the seller, look, instead of lowering the price, offer maybe 3% towards the buyer's closing costs. And now somebody who only qualifies for a $500,000 house, because we're getting them a lower rate, might qualify for a $600,000 house. And that differentiating factor, like just the conversations alone, make you stand out as a listing agent and help you secure a higher percentage of listings.
Yeah, and to be able to go to the listing presentation and go, look, this is my backup plan, is that if the house sits in the market for more than 45 days, which is the average here, we're going to offer this so that I can protect and maximize how much money you're getting to the table. Most people just reduce the price, but we're not going to do this. We're going to do this. And by doing this, we're going to be able to promote this listing in a better financial way and increase the pool of buyers that actually qualify for this listing. That's important. Another couple of things is when it comes to all the let's say that you do get the listing and that this person wants to sell and buy, but they're in that middle of the process where they don't know, or they want to sell and buy at the same time, and they don't want to sell until they find the perfect house. But the problem is, we're not in the market where we can put, we can do it for sure, but I don't know that you're going to get an accepted offer that has a selling contingency. We do have different types of loans like bridge loans and things like that that will allow you to take the equity of the house that you're selling and then use that equity towards the down payment for the house that you're trying to buy. And that loan doesn't have any payments, so you don't have to worry about having double payments for things like that. And another thing too is, people don't think about us when they think about somebody that's trying to sell their house and with the proceeds of that sale buy their next home cash. Obviously, they don't think about us because, being lenders, we don't love cash. But the truth is, we have programs too that we can help them just get a short-term loan where we are able to just buy that property for them, if you will. It's not even a loan. We buy the property that they want to move into for them, cash, and then they're able to basically sell that house on their own time, and then be able to, with the proceeds of the sale, buy or pay off, pay us off. So there's so many other things that we can do other than the traditional financing that can help people that don't necessarily want to get a long-term loan, but want to be able to basically, for a short period of time, be able to purchase a home cash. So we can help them with that too.
It's incredible. So I think the lesson here is that even listing agents need to be well versed in all of the programs and products that you offer so that you can creatively problem solve. We're seeing, you said 45 days on market. I mean, some homes are sitting 60, 90 days right now.
Yeah.
And when you look at the listing, there's no provision for a seller concession. There's no opportunity, at least communicated in that way. And so I think it's really on the realtor to say, hey, let's not just reduce the price. I don't know if you've seen the dashboard in Matrix lately, but it's the price decrease. The little bar is like all the way across. Every day there are an insane number of price decreases, and that really doesn't have to be your first move. There are other ways to communicate value that the sellers would offer a buyer, and you need to know about that as an agent, and you need to be able to bring along a partner that can explain this to your seller in a way that still is advantageous to them and their goals and what they're looking to do. And one thing I really appreciated about what you said, Scott, is the fact that you're using the proceeds of the sale for debt consolidation as a means to getting a better terms on the home that they're buying. A lot of lenders don't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I appreciate about Neo Home Loans is that you do look at the whole person's financial health and status, and you say, okay, what can we do here? What can we do there? And you're not just going. It's just not straight financing. You're
Right.
really taking a look at their entire situation and trying to figure out what the best outcome is.
Yeah, it brings up a thought. I got a phone call from an agent. Had a home listed at $899. The listing was getting ready to end. The person wasn't going to renew. They got a lowball offer in of like $825, and the seller wasn't even going to respond. And the agent called me up completely exacerbated and said, "We got to figure out a way to get this thing done." And what I did was I put together a total cost analysis, which is something we do where we could just have columns, very easy to understand, compare different options. What I did was the first column was the house listed at $899, 20% down, 7.25% rate, whatever it was in the payments. The second column was the offer, 8.25%, 20% down, 7.25% rate, etc. But then the third option, I showed the buy down, where I actually increased the price from $899 to $921, okay, because there was some room there. Took that $22,000 to do the buy down, okay, lowered the rate to 5.25%, and then the fourth column, and this is the most powerful one, I think, I showed how much they would have had to have dropped the price from $899 to have the same payments as they did with the lower interest rate. And Jillian, they would have had to lower that price from $899 all the way down to $745,000.
Wow.
So, I was able to do that. I explained it to the listing agent. I ended up explaining it to the buyer's agent. I annoyingly ended up explaining it to the buyer's lender. And we were able to keep the deal together. So what the agents don't understand is these $10,000, $20,000 price reductions don't make any meaningful impact in people's bottom lines, where a strategy like a buy down would. And look, we all need to be taking a page out of the builders' playbooks. D.R. Horton sells more homes than anybody. What are they selling? They're selling rate, buy down, and payment. They're not selling pretty kitchens and pretty bathrooms. And we all need to follow their lead because they definitely know what they're doing.
And you can have the same benefits, but you need to bring your lender to your listing appointment.
Yes.
So I think that the pressures on the market right now feel very heavy, and I'm hearing that from a lot of our agents, and I don't know if you guys are too, but there's this sense that we have more inventory, right? But we do have buyer demand, but we have so much hesitation just because of affordability,
Yeah.
and rates and insurance and whatnot. But the thing that we need to realize is that if we just peek through the veil a little bit, there are ways out of it, that there are creative options, and you can't get that if you just walk into a bank and figure out try to figure this out, or you have buyers and say, oh, go get pre-approved down the street. I think it starts with the listing appointment, and so and the offer that you're willing to make. So
It does. And another piece of it, I think this is super critical, and it's something that we focus on a lot when we're working with people, Jillian, is the fear of the housing market. And maybe the stat from our deck, it's slipping my mind, but like something like 52% of Americans think the housing market's going to crash this year. And like
44. You're so off.
what is it? 54?
44.
44. So,
44.
one of the things that we do during these pre-purchase consultation, this is about a third of the
Wait,
meeting,
you cut their
is
cable so they can't listen to network news?
see that, bro, we got to find a way to implement
Yeah,
that. There has to be an AI strategy there. I
Bad
love it.
info.
But we need to, when we do our pre-purchase consultation, we're showing people a lot of like kind of macroeconomic data to show them why mathematically we are nowhere near 2008. How 2008 was an anomaly caused by stupid mortgage products. And if you look at some data and you look at some charts, you can see it. One of the charts we show is, economic, like everything with money always comes out to supply and demand. So supply is how many households are being formed, or demand is how many households are being formed. Supply is how many homes are being built. And we were building way more homes than we were forming households leading up to '08. And now it's completely the opposite. And we need to take the time and educate people on that, to let them know that what they're seeing on the news is they're just trying to sell advertising dollars. And bad, scary news sells better than good, happy news.
Yes.
So that education process is huge regarding the stability of the market. And we've seen our lead conversion go up by like 71% when we started doing that. It's massive.
When you started, your lead conversion went up 71% when you started educating people on the macroeconomics of the housing industry. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, agents? For those in the back, I mean, and if you don't know how to spell macroeconomics, just call Scott or Ed, and they can explain it to your customer. I mean, that's an incredible
I think that's the biggest thing, and I think that's the hardest ask that we give the agents, and I get it, right? Like if you talk to somebody that's in the process of buying, or even in a listing presentation, and they go, I already have financing, right? Like the majority of agents are gonna go, okay, you don't know what that financing looks like, because if the financing and the bank and the lender and whatever it is, they're not going beyond just the approval. That might fall very, very short in this market. It wasn't the case 2 years ago where the rates were 2% and everybody knew that buying in Florida was a no-brainer. Unfortunately, people don't have that sentiment right now. People are afraid, and they have plenty of excuses to be afraid right now. One of them being an election year. Everybody says it's an election year. Nobody knows what really happens with housing after, when an election year happens, but everybody knows the line of it's an election year, so we don't know. So all of these things, the point of this is the agent needs to have confidence in us, and we know that that's not an easy ask, but the agent needs to have the confidence of saying, okay, Jillian, I understand that you have your financing in place. Let me have you talk to Ed anyways, or let me have you talk to Scott or to Neo Home Loans, so they can show you a lot of the different things that you need to know in order to be better equipped for this market. You can still go with your own financing, and that's fine, but let's at least have that conversation with them. And look, at that point, we will lead with value first, and we will earn their business. And if we don't, like, like Scott just gave an example, which basically he was teaching the other lender how to do a buy down. He didn't make $1 on that, which means I didn't make $1 on that either. And but still, like, it was the right thing for the client and for the agent. So my point is, we know it's a hard ask, and we get it. And I don't doubt that a lot of agents would like to refer us when they are asked to refer us to a bank, but it needs to be beyond that. And it needs to be beyond that, not for us, not just for the clients, but for themselves, right? Because they don't know how many missed opportunities they've had with clients that haven't bought a house but have been pre-approved for months, or haven't sold their house but have been, ready to sell for months because they didn't have the proper information at the beginning.
Yeah. So how do we go about getting that or doing that? I mean, we just call you, or do we set up a meeting, or how can we engage you guys as partners on our listing appointments, or when we're starting to work with buyers?
Yeah, so with us it's super simple. We both work off of both ours and our production partners' cell phone numbers, just making the connection, just going, hey, in my case it would be Cynthia, in Scott's case it would be Heather, but hey, Heather, this is Jillian. Jillian's interested in buying or selling. I think you guys should connect because I think she would take a lot of value from the pre-purchase consultation that you guys have, and then we can take it from there.
Yeah.
We're not the types of lenders that are just going to email them an application, especially if we know that it's somebody that already went through the process. What they need is information, because look, we can talk to somebody and after 30 seconds, we know if that person qualifies.
Mhm.
That's not the point. The point is to get them excited about buying a house, make them become aggressive and forceful about buying a house in this market. And the beauty of it is, the stats show us that it is a good time. The stats still show us that you should be aggressive and you should be forceful. The problem is nobody's showing the stats. And the biggest problem is, while the stats and the articles and everything actually show you why it's great, the headlines don't. The headlines are written the complete opposite way, and people only read headlines. So
Right.
I feel like our job, Scott and I certainly has transformed in the past 2 years from just closing as fast as we could, because that was the job pre-COVID, and after COVID it was just, can we close in 2 days? Sure. Can we close in 2 hours? Sure. Let's do it. It's been transformed to, like, how can we do a crash course
Mhm.
on why buying a house makes sense right now, on macroeconomics, like Scott is saying, on what's happening with rates, on what's the tactical way to maximize this market buying now. We do free refinances. People don't know this, but we can do a free refinance if somebody has a high enough mortgage rate, or high enough mortgage. We can give them a free refinance as the rates come down. So explaining all of this to them, that's really been the transformation of what we do now. And then our team makes sure that we close super fast.
And on another note that I also think is really important, Jillian, is lenders don't, and frankly, most agents aren't educating clients on how big of a role taxes and insurance and flood insurance should play in the home selection process. One of the other things we do during our pre-purchase consultations is we explain the different factors that impact taxes, that impact insurance and flood insurance. we explained to them that you could buy a house and the following year the taxes could triple. And I know
Right.
clients that came into my office, they're facing foreclosure because they worked with a lender and a realtor that didn't explain that to them. So one of the other things we do for people is we are running numbers on houses, even including getting insurance quotes before the showings, because
Sure.
we don't want somebody to walk into a home and not have complete comfort with the numbers, right? Like we like to say, people see a house visually, fall in love with it emotionally, but the ultimate decision to buy is financial. So we're running those numbers on a house by house basis while they're shopping. And
Well, we don't want the agent to waste their time showing a property that the client is not going to be, excited to buy. And we also want to give the clients equip the clients with the actual numbers to be able to make a decision, right? Like if I go look at a house, but I know that the house is going to require maybe $5,000 more work than another house, but it costs me $800 a month less, it's easier for me to make the decision than if I just see the fact that it's going to require $5,000 more of work,
Right. Right. So you guys are looking at the portability of the tax, and you're looking at what it's gonna look like down the road once the new assessed value is considered. And I
Mhm.
think that's part of. I mean, as a good realtor will do that, but not everybody does. And that's again just a testament to you guys looking at the whole person and their uh, I guess it's a holistic approach to the transaction, looking at not just the person, but the purchase, and what is that going to look like down the road? Because the idea is not to just get them into a loan and get them into a home immediately. You want it to be something that's going to build their generational wealth, and you can't do that if they're strapped for cash in a couple of years.
Right.
So I really appreciate that about your program, and it's true. Your marketing tools um, are game changers for agents. Your education and your marketing. I think just as Ed and you were explaining, in a season in a housing market when everybody was going wide, right? You had to keep up with the market. Now we're going deep into a more I don't know, a well-crafted approach to making sure that the customer is taken care of on the listing and the selling side. So it's I don't know how to stress enough how important it is that agents get to know each of you and understand, at least have a broad understanding of what you can provide and bring you into that conversation. I mean, we say it, we email it, we talk to agents, but I don't know. I don't know if I can stress enough how important it is that they have that broad understanding of the ways that you can truly help their customer. Because if you make the agent look like a hero in the customer's eyes because you're helping the customer truly get accomplish the goals, then that's going to make the agent look like a hero, and you guys are helping the agent. And so I think that's what I really want to get across today is just the ability for you guys to help an agent boost their business, help them look like the hero, help them get their customers exactly what they need. And through all kinds of programs and processes and education and macroeconomics and whatnot. So I really appreciate you. This has been the best partnership in Premier Plus Realty's history in terms of the value that you guys provide in 20 years. I mean that. And not that I've been here for 20 years, but but David Gallus has, and that's what he says. All of the classes and education and the value and the true ability to make our agents' businesses better is just bar none. So we appreciate you, and it's been really great chatting about
Yeah.
all of this. And so I think we'll wrap it up, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right.
Yeah.
Jillian,
Hey,
thank you so much for having us be part of the PPR fam.
If you're with Premier Plus, keep an eye out for your email because we're emailing you every single week. And I promise you, the emails aren't lame. We're emailing you things that we are emailing our clients for you to literally swipe and adapt, for you to copy and paste. We even send you the exact email that we send our clients for you in a Word document. And same thing with the post that we're making for you to just literally copy and paste. And The way that we see it is you can curate that content and decide if that's good enough for your clients or not. You can change it and whatnot, but we try to go a little technical on things like the tax deductible items for your 2023 and 2024 closing. If there's a new program, like right now, the Hometown Heroes coming in a couple of months, then we talk about the new program. We talk about how to avoid paying capital gains, like all those things. We write it in a way that's easier to understand for clients, and we send them to you for you to share.
Yeah, and we're also going to be, we have somebody on the team that's going to be calling all of the agents at PPR to set up meetings so they could kind of learn firsthand in a little bit more detail what we're talking about. So if you get one of those calls, please go ahead and schedule one of those appointments. Please make sure you make the appointment because we know unequivocally it's going to make a nice positive difference in your bottom line at the end of the year.
Absolutely.
Jillian, thank you so much.
You're welcome.